for holding. We look forward to talking with you soon. Please hold the line and we'll be right back with you.
Thanks for holding. We appreciate your time and patience. Please stay on the line, and we'll be back in just a moment. Thank you for holding. We sincerely appreciate your patience. Please stay on the line and we'll be back in a moment. Thank you for holding. We look forward to talking with you soon. Please hold the line, and we'll be right back with you. Thank you for holding. We look forward to talking with you soon. Please hold the line and we'll be right back with you. Thanks for holding. We appreciate your time and patience. Please stay on the line, and we'll be back in just a moment. Thanks for holding. We appreciate your time and patience. Please stay on the line, and we'll be back in just a moment. Thank you for waiting. Your patience is appreciated. Please hold the line, and we'll be right back with you.
holding. We look forward to talking with you soon. Please hold the line and we'll be right back with you.
Thanks for holding. We appreciate your time and patience. Please stay on the line, and we'll be back in just a moment. Thank you for holding. We sincerely appreciate your patience. Please stay on the line and we'll be back in a moment. Thank you for holding. We look forward to talking with you soon. Please hold the line, and we'll be right back with you. Thank you for holding. We look forward to talking with you soon. Please hold the line and we'll be right back with you. Thanks for holding. We appreciate your time and patience. Please stay on the line, and we'll be back in just a moment. Thanks for holding. We appreciate your time and patience. Please stay on the line, and we'll be back in just a moment. Thank you for waiting. Your patience is appreciated. Please hold the line, and we'll be right back with you.
holding. We look forward to talking with you soon. Please hold the line and we'll be right back with you.
Thanks for holding. We appreciate your time and patience. Please stay on the line, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today's meeting will begin soon. And just want to let anybody know, anyone who intends to join the public comment queue this evening may press *1 on their telephone keypad at this time or any point going forward. Once again, that'll be *1 on your telephone keypad to enter the public comment queue. Thank you very much.
Thank you for holding. We sincerely appreciate your patience. Please stay on the line and we'll be back in a moment.
Thank you for holding. We look forward to talking with you soon. Please hold the line, and we'll be right back with you. For holding. We look forward to talking with you soon. Please hold the line and we'll be right back with you. Thanks for holding. We appreciate your time and patience. Please stay on the line, and we'll be back in just a moment. Thanks for holding. We appreciate your time and patience. Please stay on the line, and we'll be back in just a moment. Thank you for waiting. Your patience is appreciated. Please hold the line, and we'll be right back with you.
for holding. We look forward to talking with you soon. Please hold the line and we'll be right back with you.
I hereby call to order the Board of Directors' regularly scheduled meetings of the New Jersey Transit Corporation, New Jersey Transit Rail Operations, Inc., New Jersey Transit Bus Operations, Inc., New Jersey Transit Mercer, Inc., and New Jersey Transit Morris, Inc.
Good evening, Chair Gutierrez, Scacchetti, and board members. I will now take roll call. Board Member Adams?
Here.
Board Member Doshi?
Here.
Board Member Gordon?
Here.
Board Member Morocco?
Here.
Board Member Nara?
Here.
Board Member Rasmussen?
Here.
Board Member Ajmani?
Here.
Board Member Wilton?
Good evening, Joyce. I'm here.
Thank you. Vice Chair Fulton?
Here.
Chair Gutierrez, Scacchetti.
Here.
This is a regular meeting of the New Jersey Transit Corporation and its affiliates and subsidiaries. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act and New Jersey Transit's enabling legislation. Notice was filed on March 4th, 2021 with the Secretary of State and sent to newspapers of general distribution, posted in the main entrance of New Jersey Transit headquarters, published on the corporation's website, and sent each individual, agency, and organization that requested such notice. Thank you.
May I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the February 10th, 2021 board meetings?
So moved, Board Member Wolf.
Second, Board Member Nara.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, Joyce, please take roll call.
Roll call vote. Board Member Adams?
Yes.
Board Member Doshi?
Yes.
Board Member Gordon?
Yes.
Board Member Morocco?
Yes.
Board Member Nara?
Yes.
Board Member Ajmani?
Yes.
Board Member Wilton?
Yes.
Vice Chair Fulton?
Yes.
Chair Gutierrez, Scacchetti.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Joyce. At this time, I'll call on Kevin Corbett to present the President and CEO's monthly report.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, Board. And as well as the members of the public joining us online. As in previous months, I'll start today with an update related to COVID-19. And to begin, I'm deeply saddened to report that we have lost 3 long-serving members of our New Jersey Transit family since our last board meeting due to COVID-19 related complications. Carlos Martinez worked for us as a bus operator for more than 20 years, primarily operating our 139 line between Marlborough, New Jersey, and the Port Authority bus terminal out of our Howell garage. Cynthia Johnson, who was also a bus operator for 35 years, also primarily working out of the Howell garage on routes along the Route 9 corridor to and from the Port Authority bus terminal. And Ramnu Thuki, who was known as Ned to his coworkers, has worked for New Jersey Transit bus operations for more than 26 years, most recently as a mechanic A in our central maintenance facility. Carlos, Cynthia, and Ned will be deeply missed, and we're grateful for their service to New Jersey Transit and to our customers. I ask you to keep their families, loved ones, friends, and colleagues in your thoughts and prayers at this difficult time. I'd now like to ask for a moment of silence in their honor. Thank you. As I'm sure many of you are aware, yesterday marked the one-year anniversary since Governor Murphy first declared a state of emergency in New Jersey due to the pandemic on March 9, 2020. In recognition of that anniversary, we released a short video, both honoring the employees we lost much too soon and thanking all our employees for their extraordinary efforts over the past year. Over the past year, 21 New Jersey Transit employees have lost their lives to this deadly virus in total. While we continue to maintain our rigorous safety protocols to protect our employees and customers from the spread of COVID-19, we know that ultimately vaccines are essential in the fight against the pandemic. To support the state's rapidly expanding vaccine distribution efforts, today New Jersey Transit introduced a new initiative called VaxRide. Through VaxRide, we create a new webpage available at njtransit.com/VaxRide that includes state vaccine registration information and a map linking all of our services to vaccine sites across the state. The information is searchable by address as well as by clicking on one of the vaccination locations. Icons are on the map of New Jersey, and the search results will yield the bus routes, rail lines, and light rail lines within a half a mile of the vaccination site. I'd also like to take the opportunity to thank Governor Murphy for announcing last week that all transportation workers will be eligible to receive COVID-19 vaccines this coming Monday, March 15th. We are grateful to Governor Murphy for prioritizing our state's indispensable transit workers. They certainly deserve it. Since the onset of the pandemic, our dedicated employees have been keeping our region moving, delivering service for essential workers and all those who depend on public transit. I'm also pleased to report that New Jersey Transit received a limited supply of COVID-19 vaccines from New Jersey Department of Health for our own eligible employees. We have been preparing for months for this, and to name just some of the efforts in preparation of that, we had purchased 3 freezers with backup battery storage and proven settings for appropriate cooling environments. We prepared 2 sites in Camden and Maplewood for socially distant employee vaccinations. We have an online system that allows employees to schedule vaccination appointments, and our medical department has a team of nurses, staff, and volunteers ready to process and vaccinate employees, as we do every year for the flu. As a result, we were fully prepared when the vaccines became available and began vaccinating employees last week on March 4th. Only active frontline public-facing New Jersey Transit employees, such as police officers, bus operators, conductors, locomotive engineers, and customer service representatives, who also meet current NJDOH vaccination eligibility requirements, were permitted to receive the vaccine here at New Jersey Transit. I'm pleased to report that we've administered all 300 doses, finishing up today at our Camden location. We believe the vaccine will add yet another layer of safety to the many measures we already have in place, particularly our aggressive and extensive cleaning and daily disinfection protocols. We're also optimistic that a widely administered vaccine will encourage more customers to come back to transit, although it's still early in the process and we have not yet seen much movement in our ridership numbers since my last report to the board in February. Rail ridership remains at approximately 20 to 25% of pre-COVID levels system-wide, and bus ridership continues to hold steady at approximately 50% from pre-COVID levels system-wide. Overall, light rail ridership remains also at approximately 50% of pre-COVID levels. As part of our continuing efforts to protect customers and employees, we once again participated in the region-wide Mask Force Initiative. On February 25th, we held our 3rd Mask Force distribution effort, where employees throughout our organization volunteered at several stations and onboard vehicles. To date, we have distributed nearly 50,000 masks overall, including masks distributed during all Mask Force events and our customer service and ticket offices throughout our system. The next Mask Force deployment is scheduled for March 18th. Next, I'd like to provide 3 quick updates before moving on to recent developments in our 3 core focus areas: people, technology, and infrastructure. The first is, in addition to the vaccine distribution, I want to thank Governor Murphy for his prioritizing transit throughout the state budget. Despite the impacts of the pandemic across the state, the governor's proposed budget for New Jersey Transit will allow us to maintain full service for our customers who depend on transit while keeping fares stable for the 4th consecutive year. Second, and also as it relates to our budget, we are pleased to note that earlier today, Congress passed the American Rescue Plan, a $1.9 trillion pandemic relief bill. The bill includes about $30 billion for U.S. transit agencies, and could not be more welcome development for agencies like ours and the millions of customers and local economies who depend on us. We don't know yet what New Jersey Transit's share of the $30 billion allocation will be, but we'll certainly keep the board apprised of details as they become available. We once again are grateful to Governor Murphy, Senator Menendez and Booker, and the New Jersey's entire congressional delegation for fighting for New Jersey and for our customers. New Jersey Transit also worked hard behind the scenes to make this bill a reality, both directly with elected and other officials and through our ongoing collaboration with transit agencies and transit advocates throughout the region. Strong New Jersey Transit is a necessary component of a strong and equitable recovery for our state and our region as we come out on the other side of this pandemic. Thirdly, I'd like to note on February 24th, we held the first meeting of our new Energy and Sustainability Board Committee. This new committee is comprised of Board Vice Chair Fulton, who is also chairing the committee, and board members Doshi and Adams. Among other priorities, the committee is working to ensure we maximize use of renewable energy in our transit grid project, to monitor substation and energy system investments, and to help develop our first ever corporate sustainability plans as part of our 10-year strategic plan goal to promote a more sustainable future for our planet. Now, as far as the three elements, key elements I usually report on each meeting, I'd like to focus on the developments as they relate to our investment in people. I'm proud to report that NJ Transit is leading an effort to enhance employment opportunities for veterans during the COVID-19 crisis by partnering with the nationally successful Edge for Vets job preparation program. I particularly want to thank our board's vice chair, Cedric Fulton, an Air Force veteran himself, for his work to connect New Jersey Transit with the Edge for Vets program. The program, which will be introduced in New Jersey this spring, prepares and connects New Jersey's veterans, National Guard members, transitioning military service personnel, and their spouses to careers in transportation. This leadership effort by NJ Transit will be the first implementation of Edge for Vets in the States, and one that is near and dear to my heart. When you consider the devastating impact COVID-19 has had on our region's economy and employment opportunities, I can think of no better way to give back and to honor our nation's veterans. It's also a big win for New Jersey Transit, which will benefit from tremendous value and leadership skills our nation's veterans bring to such organizations as ours. On the technology side, in addition to our focus on recruiting, we continue many efforts to leverage technology to improve the customer experience, in this case for our Access Link customers. On Monday, we proudly launched a dedicated mobile app specifically for Access Link customers, providing them with a user-friendly interface for making, canceling, and monitoring reservations. Customers can also update their information and monitor the status of their Easy Wallet payment accounts with just a few clicks of the app. Since its introduction in 2019, New Jersey Transit has booked hundreds of thousands of trips through the Access Link online, which allows customers to schedule rides, prepay fares electronically, and check the trip status. Now, Access Link customers can do much of the same through this app, building on our many efforts to improve mobility and modernize this indispensable service. The app was developed in direct response to customer feedback and provides one-stop shopping for our customers who previously would have had to call in and speak to an operator or visit the website to log into their account. Regarding infrastructure, on February 17th, Governor Murphy and Commissioner Scaschetti were in Camden to announce the first major step of a $250 million redevelopment of the Walter Rand Transportation Center, one of the most vital transportation hubs in New Jersey, serving 26 New Jersey Transit bus lines and our River Line light rail system. We also announced an upcoming request for proposals for the design of a new facility to replace the existing terminal. The initial design phase, once commenced, is expected to take about 9 months to complete. With funding provided, this new design will set us on a path to realize a greater vision for downtown Camden and its economic revitalization. These improvements will also complement our many current efforts to improve this aging, undersized, and maintenance-intensive facility. We recently completed a $4 million parking deck renovation at the center, and with Commissioner Gutierrez-Scachetti's support, we delivered a $7.5 million grant to the Camden County Board of Commissioners to build a new pedestrian bridge spanning the 6-lane Martin Luther King Boulevard. This will significantly improve safety, lifting pedestrian traffic above cars, trucks, buses, light rail vehicles, and bicycles. New Jersey Transit also continued to advance its zero-emission bus program through the February 19th release of an RFP for the purchase of 8 battery electric buses to be used in a limited deployment later this year, also in the city of Camden. Through this effort, New Jersey Transit will play a significant role in improving air quality for many of the communities we serve, who disproportionately bear the burden of the ongoing effects of climate change. In conjunction with the purchase, as you'll recall, we are also in the midst of modernizing our Newton Avenue garage with electric bus charging infrastructure through the $3.4 million contract awarded at last September's board meeting. We expect this project to be completed by this summer. Our next update qualifies as both an infrastructure and technology project, our Innovation Challenge, which has now moved into the next phase of the development process. On February 18th, we issued an RFP to develop an inventive and original solution to increase mass transit capacity between Secaucus Junction and the Meadowlands complex. This RFP will allow New Jersey Transit to receive and evaluate proposals from the best and brightest in the industry. We're seeking proposals that can provide end-to-end solutions for peak capacity service, including design, build, operations, and management, as well as identifying the financial resources necessary to make that proposal a reality. In continuing to advance this critical initiative, we're looking to the future of the post-pandemic demand on our mass transit system and making the investments, planning, and design decisions required for projects with long lead times. To date, 170 people, representing 132 companies, have requested the RFP. Once again, I want to thank and commend Commissioner Scaschetti for leading the charge on this effort to tap into the private sector partnerships, leveraging both money and innovation to help us increase capacity through this important corridor. We also continue to advance our Transit Grid project, a critically important reliability project for New Jersey Transit and for our customers. A week from today, on March 17th, we will sponsor a virtual contractor networking event hosted by New Jersey Alliance for Action, where interested contractors and developers can hear about the project firsthand and network with one another to explore opportunities for partnerships. The event will support our many efforts to make Transit Grid as environmentally friendly as possible by maximizing the use of renewable energy while still meeting our system's reliability and power needs. Interested contractors can register for the event online at allianceforaction.com/register-mow.phb. To wrap up today, I'd like to note that March is Women's History Month, where we take time as a nation to honor the contributions made by women from both our past and our present, and look forward to what can be in the future. Thankfully, we have in an age where women are empowered more than at any other point in history, and we can see signs of that everywhere we look. In addition to the groundbreaking election of the first woman to hold the office of the American Vice President, here in New Jersey, Governor Murphy's administration has been noted as having the most women appointed to the cabinet in our state's history. And I'm proud, of course, to note that includes our very own board chair, Diane Gutierrez-Scaschetti, in her role as NJT Commissioner. Of course, despite these notable examples and significant gains over the past decades, we must all continue to strive to achieve gender equity and create opportunities for women to move forward. Finally, because we can all use good news in our lives these days, I want to close with a story that recently made headlines when our own New Jersey Transit Police Department rescued a badly injured dog. You may also have seen the story on social media accounts about New Jersey Transit and New Jersey Transit Police Department Patrol, Canine, and Emergency Service Unit officers found a dog pinned under a Newark light rail vehicle. They worked feverishly together to remove the dog, taking great care not to further add to its injuries, and rushed it to an animal hospital. Thankfully, as a result of our quick acting professional officers, the dog is now on track to making a full recovery. I'm sure this incident will also serve as a good reminder for the pup to always keep off the tracks in the future. With that, Chair, I conclude my remarks and turn the floor back to you.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Operator, we would like to open the floor for public comments. Can you please provide instructions for entering the queue to make public comments?
Certainly. Ladies and gentlemen, the floor is now open for public comments. If you would like to make a public comment, please press *1 on your telephone keypad to enter the queue. You will hear a brief tone to indicate you have successfully entered the queue. Priority access will be given to any participant who has pre-registered, and these comments will be taken in turn. We will then take public comments from remaining participants on a first-come, first-served basis. Each person will have 3 minutes for their public comment. A warning will be provided with 1 minute remaining, and again with 15 seconds remaining. Once again, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad now to enter the queue to make a public comment. And there are 4 speakers in the queue. Your first public comment is coming from Andy Pollock. Your line is live and your time will now begin.
Good evening, President Corbett and Chairwoman Gutierrez-Gichetti. Couple matters that need to be discussed this evening. First of all, before I get to my main comments, I want to acknowledge today that the House of Representatives has passed the third stimulus package. This is excellent news for New Jersey. I'm sure Phil Murphy has a big smile in Trenton today. That President Biden was finally going to help the Garden State, and it seems the money's coming. So New Jersey Transit's going to get some of that funding as well. So this is excellent news that needs to be acknowledged today. A couple other matters need to be discussed. First of all, there is a procurement that is going to be voted on this evening regarding Morristown. So I am hoping that procurement will be done this evening. It's very important. That needs to be acknowledged, which is procurement 2103-12. And then 2103-09 this evening will be a procurement for bus shelters. So now with the money coming in, looks like these procurements can go through this evening. And one last matter that I need to bring up this evening, this is regarding a bus route from Atlantic City to New York City on the weekend. This is bus route 319, which again, this is a south to north route from Atlantic City to New York City. This is happening a lot on weekends, particularly on Saturday and Sunday. I've been getting complaints that a lot of buses have been overcrowded on the weekend.
1 minute remaining.
So I am hoping that hopefully more buses can be added on weekends to alleviate the overcrowding situation that I've been hearing about. And I've been even hearing complaints even in Tom's River about the overcrowding. So thank you all very much. A good rest of your evenings. And I look forward to speaking to you again in the near future.
Thank you. The next public comment is coming from Adam Reich. Adam, your line is live and your time will now begin.
Good evening. First off, with respect to item 2103-11, the transmittal of the budget proposal for the next fiscal year, disappointed to see that there is still a transfer of capital funds to cover operating costs. I would ask that you as members of the board work with the legislature and the Murphy administration to do all you can to ensure that this practice stops, at least in future years, and that the agency gets a dedicated funding source. Many of the problems riders and the agency has experienced in recent years can be attributed to chronic capital underinvestment. Having a dedicated funding source in place will help to counter that and prevent these sorts of problems from cropping up as easily in the future. We as riders shouldn't have to be dependent on how transit-friendly an administration is. Having a dedicated funding source in place to allow the agency to better plan its capital needs will go a long way towards solving these issues. Secondly, the customer advocate position. We're now at about 5 months since Stuart Mader departed from that position. As I understand, based on the last Operations and Customer Service Committee meeting, part of that delay is based on a review of the job description for that title. I would ask, as I know a couple of board members had requested during the last committee meeting, for a public update on the status of this as soon as possible. In particular, let us know, when do you expect to announce that the position's open for applications. What is your goal as far as timeline for filling that? And, what can we expect in terms of a customer advisory board under the customer advocate?
1 minute remaining.
That was promised about a year ago, a little over that, and there hasn't been any action on. It's going to be critical as you plan schedules and service in the post-pandemic world and the time leading up to that, to ensure that you are meeting the needs of riders. Having an actively engaged group of them as a conduit between you, the customer advocate, and other riders will go a long way towards improving that. It would also help to hopefully avoid some of the problems the Long Island Railroad experienced when they cut back the schedules on Monday and found themselves overcrowded on certain trains to the point that they had to go back and announce their
15 seconds remaining.
So again, anything you can do to provide the public with an update on these items and to get that promised customer advocate board in place would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next public comment is coming from Nihal Boujle. Nihal, your line is live and your time will now begin.
Very good. Good evening, everyone. My name is Nihal Boujle. I live in Glen Ridge, and I work at UBS in Weehawken. Been riding New Jersey Transit Rail since 1993 when I was a college student. And today I take the Montclair line to Hoboken and then switch to light rail to go to my office in Weehawken. So as vaccines roll out, we're going to start seeing increased ridership. And the question really is how the return is going to be radically different, right? And I think it is going to be radically different. For example, my firm, UBS, says there's no way we're going back to 5 days a week in the office. Now, my previous job was completely flexible about when employees needed to be in the office. So the office was empty on Fridays, or if it rained, office was very empty over the summer. People came in for afternoon meetings after working from home in the morning. So imagine this model, except now instead of just that one office I worked at, for everyone. So to understand how rider patterns are going to change, to Mr. Reich's comments, I do want to encourage New Jersey Transit to start engaging much more aggressively with customers and start doing this as soon as possible to at least keep pace, if not get ahead of the ridership changes that are going to happen. So I concur we need to find a new customer advocate. I'd love the board to create the customer advisory board that I heard about last year. And I also encourage you to connect with New York City's, New Jersey's largest employers. Get the conversation going with them. They don't even know what they're going to do right now, and you can begin at an early point, start engaging them in a conversation. So to sum up, this really is a once-in-a-lifetime, very radical change in how people like me go to work, when we go to work, why we go to work. And I encourage the board to aggressively engage with your customers to understand how their needs are going to change and start doing that as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you wish to enter the queue for public comment, you can press star 1 at any time. And the next public comment is coming from Kaylee McAllister. Kaylee, your line is live and your time will now begin.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, go ahead, Ms. McAllister.
Thank you very much. I will keep my comments brief. And first, I'd like to say congratulations on positive train control. I'll admit that I was one of those people who thought you wouldn't make it. But I haven't called in for several months, but I felt compelled to after listening to these same one or two people month after month talking about this customer advocate position, as though one person is some magic bullet that will fundamentally transform public transportation. First, if it were, every transit agency in the country would have one, and they don't. And second, I have to admit that the last 6 months, service has been pretty reliable. And third, and most importantly, everyone knows that what transit agencies really need is predictable and reliable funding, particularly coming out of a pandemic that has severely impacted transit ridership and revenues across the country. I would much rather see my money going toward a real advocacy initiative that will fight to secure the necessary funding transit needs to give us all a better experience than putting money out to fund another government position or positions. And frankly, whatever ideas this new customer advocate can bring to the table, if the money isn't there to fund the ideas, then what is the point? So please, let's focus a little less on adding another layer of positions and focus a little more on what really matters to improving transit, advocating for sufficient funding. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you. And the next public comment is coming from Joseph Clift. Joseph, your line is live, and your time will now begin.
Good evening. My name is Joe Clift. Happy anniversary for a horrible year, I guess we could say. I want to talk this evening about the budget proposed transmittal that's required by law to go in. Let me first say, though, I hope when we get to the presentation of the agenda, it shows on the live streaming. That would be a big help. Others do it. I'm sure New Jersey Transit can do that. Back to the budget proposal. If you go to its PDF page 21 of the agenda today, it's page 2 of Exhibit A, and it shows sources and uses of money. If you go to the third line under sources, you have the state operating subsidy. And if you look there, you'll see in fiscal 21, the governor's budget, which was done just as the pandemic was hitting, $590 million was going to come from the general fund to New Jersey Transit. The actual projection now for fiscal 21 is $215 million. And if you look there, you'll see the governor's budget proposal that's just come out for fiscal 22 is $100 million. That's down $490 million. That's 83%. Now, President Corbett said that the governor's budget prioritized New Jersey Transit. I would argue that this kind of drop is the opposite of prioritizing. It's what I've called previously making New Jersey Transit the universal blood donor for the state budget. Now, yes, there's money coming from the feds, the CARES Act, and now the second round coming now, but this puts New Jersey Transit at great risk in another year. You're looking at falling off a cliff, basically, in terms of money. And I'm very concerned that maybe this was done before they knew there was going to be a second round of subsidy support from the feds.
1 minute remaining.
Happening now. I would like to see someone talk tonight about why a drop of 83%, $490 million, is supporting New Jersey Transit. Let me also comment, in the past, board members Adams and Gordon have said that they wished New Jersey Transit staff had gone to the administration committee to talk about the budget. If you look at the law, the most recent law that changed the rules on New Jersey Transit, the administration committee must be consulted on the budget. And from what I can tell, that has not happened. But once again, I'd like to see somebody explain why this drop is so great
15 seconds.
And how they're going to climb up out of the hole for fiscal 23. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you. And the next public comment is coming from Sally Gellert. Sally, your line is live, and your time will now begin.
Thank you. This is Sally J. Gellert from the chairperson of the Lackawanna Coalition. Thank you for letting me speak this evening. I have submitted a number of documents, including a statement which I will not read, but I'll refer to. The comments that we are submitting to the Assembly Budget Committee, which include, of course, support for dedicated funding to New Jersey Transit, as others have said. And our latest issue of the Railgram, which just came out this week, and a fourth item that I can't think of offhand. Anyway, regarding Mr. Mader, he was never a customer advocate, though he held the title. He was doing public relations. So I agree with the commenter who said, hiring a new customer advocate person is not going to solve the problem. I refer you to, that's what I meant to include and didn't, the Washington Transit Agency is doing customer surveys, and they know how to do it right. I will send you a link to their page. They give you an example of all the changes they want to make. They question, will this work for you in January 22? What would you like to see? Very extensive. They've done that before when I've been down in Washington. New Jersey Transit needs to do much better at talking to its survey. You had the quarterly surveys for a while. They were decent. They could have been better, and you can definitely do better now. My colleagues at the Lackawanna Coalition remember the former roundtable between advocacy groups and management. They were not all that excited about starting up again. They felt that, too, was more of a public relations opportunity and giving the agency the chance to say, we're listening, but very little action actually came out of it. If we knew that there was, more of a surety that action would happen, we would consider participating again, but we need you to talk to the advocacy organizations as well as doing the customer surveys. The New Jersey Association of Rail Passengers and Lackawanna Coalition have worked together in the past and with you, and will gladly do so again, I'm sure. At our February meeting, we passed a resolution in support of David Peter Allen's suggestion last month to for New Jersey Transit to make Secaucus Junction and possibly other stations available to the Department of Health for a vaccination site and testing site. We're very glad to hear that you have plans for your employees. Those sound great. But it would be a wonderful, speaking of public relations, opportunity for the agency if customers who are transit dependent and those who are commuting through Secaucus Station could know that there was an easy place to find a vaccine. I've been looking at your website. I've got some suggestions in the statement that I plan to read tonight. Specifically, the current iteration of the trip planner doesn't always suggest the most direct route. The map doesn't always match what it suggests, which can be very confusing for visitors. When I see something that I know doesn't make sense in Hackensack, I can figure it out. A visitor won't be able to. Departure vision, sometimes on tablets you have to go all the way out in order to look up a second trip. It's just a little too awkward. We also note that on your budget transmittal, which we're glad to see, thank you for following the new regulation on putting that out.
And time has expired, and there are no other public comments in queue at this time.
Thank you, public speakers. I will now ask board members for comments. Board Member Adams, any comments?
Yes, Joyce, thank you. My first comment is to thank Kevin for the video that he put out. I can't believe it's been a year since Governor Murphy has declared the COVID-19 emergency. Seems like it's been a year from hell, and I know that everybody on the board and the transit family is looking forward to a much better year. But I just wanted to thank Kevin for acknowledging those hard-working transit workers who kept New Jersey moving and kept the state mobile, and also acknowledging those who have lost somebody through the year. Thank you, Kevin, for that. The other thing that I did want to mention is to all the speakers, we do listen to your comments, we hear your comments, and the board members, do discuss them in committee meetings and, amongst themselves. So I don't want you to think that just because we do not address you individually that we do not hear your comments. So we do, and we're probably going to discuss some of these a little later on. Something that Kevin didn't mention, and I want to have to thank staff for it. I rode New Jersey Transit out of Newark Penn Station down to Trenton for about 3 years when I worked for the School Development Authority, and I have never seen Newark Penn Station look brighter and more welcoming to passengers than I did a couple days ago when I went there. So kudos to staff for that lighting program that you put in place. It does give the place a more open and brighter look, and I have to thank them for that idea. The last thing that I do want to talk about, it wasn't mentioned today, but I have to bring this out. On the New Jersey Transit website, there's a way for staff, there's a way for patrons and people to be able to give comments to the board. And I read every single one of them because I was the one who made a big stink about the fact that we hadn't seen them in the past. However, I have to say this. The comments from the public must be respectful, they must be to the point, and they can't be profanity-laden. There was a comment that we received on March 5th from Alex Resnick, and yes, I'm going to say his name, that had profanity in it. New Jersey Transit, me personally, will not tolerate that, and our staff and our people who get these comments should not have to tolerate that. So I'm going to ask the administration, if I see something else like this, to not respond to these comments, because it is disrespectful and is harassing to the customer service agents that are trying to help the New Jersey Transit travelers get their questions answered. Those are all the comments that I have, Joyce. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Doshi, any comments?
Thank you. I would like to thank members of the public who came out tonight to speak. And I also would like to thank Kevin and all the leadership, and especially all the New Jersey frontline transit workers. It has been a very tough year, and we would like to thank you. So thank you for that. And the only other thing I'd like to add is I wanted to say thank you from South Jersey for the Walter Rand Center. It was very important in initiative investing in South Jersey, and especially in this underserved community. So thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Board Member Gordon, any comments?
Thank you, Joyce. I just echo my colleagues. I want to thank the members of the public who participated this evening, and also thanks, as always, to our staff for all of their efforts during a very tough year. That concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Marocco, any comments?
Just to reiterate my fellow board members in thanking the staff and all the frontline workers for the really difficult jobs they did over this past year. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Nara, any questions or any comments?
I'll just add my compliments to all the staff at Transit for everything that's gone on this year, and especially just a comment to the families and friends of all our staff who we've lost this year, especially due to COVID. It's been very tough on everyone, but to know that people have been out doing the work and then they've had to suffer with illness, and then we've lost people, it makes it that much harder. And so I appreciate everyone's dedication to serving the public. And just a slight comment, yes, I'm going to echo Board Member Adams, and we do hear these comments. Some of the things that you've raised, we've also raised. I think Adam Reich made a comment about hoping that going forward we find a dedicated funding source and we don't have to transfer capital funds to cover operating costs. That's also been a topic of conversation. So we appreciate the comments, and we see some of the same things, and sometimes you bring up new topics. So thank you to all the public who participate. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Rasmussen, any comments?
Just to say that I stand in full agreement with my other board members, and I appreciate their comments. Thank you, Joyce.
Thank you. Board Member Ajmani, any comments?
No comments, Joyce. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Wilton, any comments?
Nothing to add, Joyce. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair Fulton, any comments?
Yes. Again, echoing my colleagues, condolences to the family, friends, and also our appreciation for the employees who go to work every day making it happen. And then secondarily, I would like to also commend Kevin and Jeannie and Valerie and all the others who have embraced the notion of helping our vets find job opportunities at New Jersey Transit, and through their leadership, their shining leadership, I believe that this program has great potential. both at New Jersey Transit and across the state of New Jersey. So I want to thank them. You know, people often hear ideas and they don't pick up the ball, but from everything that I'm saying, the team in New Jersey Transit is going above and beyond, trying to do their part to help our most deserving vets. So I take my hat off to them and I thank them for all their hard work and dedication. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair Gutierrez-Cacchetti, any comments?
Thanks, Joyce. Just to echo the comments of many of the board members that have been made, I'd like to personally commend our New Jersey Transit Police for saving that poor dog. Many of you know that I have a soft spot for them. But also, I do want to talk about the fact that it is Women's History Month, and while I certainly appreciate Kevin talking about the many women in leadership, it's really the women who work day in and day out with us that maybe don't get that attention. We have a wonderful board filled with very talented women. We have a staff at New Jersey Transit with Joyce leading the way who put their heart and soul to their work every day. So I would like to recognize them as much as any of the rest of us. And having said that, Joyce, will move on to the advisory committee report. So at this time, I would call on Anna Marie Ganella Rosada to present the advisory committee report.
Good evening, Madam Chair Sacchetti, Vice Chair Filton, board members and staff. The Joint PAC Committee met on February 25th via video. Our first presentation was made by Rich Schaefer, Chief Engineer, Design and Environmental Capital Programs. He updated the committees on plans for improvements to the Newark Penn Station. It's an opportunity to create welcoming transit hub along with a gateway for growth. Particular interest is the opportunity to preserve the station's iconic features. Some of the improvements include platform level modernization, concourse level revisioning, exterior and grand waiting area, room restorations, restroom updates, lighting upgrades, improved HVAC and accessibility. These additions will be pleasing to the existing riders and encouraging others to ride New Jersey Transit. Secondly, we had an update on the Glassboro-Camden line presented by Karan Patel, Chief Project Manager, Capital Programs. Chief Patel updated the members on the progress of the Glassboro-Camden Light Rail line. Final EIS was released on February 17, 2021. The project is being led by the DRPA. Preliminary engineering will be in conjunction with ongoing project outreach. The 18-mile corridor passes through 11 communities with 14 proposed stations and includes 2 maintenance and yard locations. The proposed station at Walter Rand Transportation Center in Camden will offer connections to PACO, the River Line, and New Jersey Transit bus routes. Chief Patel discussed track alignment, center and side platforms, and proposed fleet of 18 light rail vehicles, which will be similar to the River Line. The light rail line will reduce traffic congestion, offer increased travel options, and promote economic development along the route. The PAC encourages funding of this project. Next, the legislative relations was updated by Senior Director John Delcali and Legislative Liaison Matt McHale. They provided the committees with updates on the status of transportation-related bills currently before the New Jersey State Legislature. They also provided a cap of federal legislative activity and committee assignments, as well as topics before the New Jersey Transit Board of Directors. The members also received a comprehensive memorandum of federal discretionary grant programs from the FRA, FHA, and FTA, and the status of applications currently being pursued by New Jersey Transit Capital Programs. Also included for review were letters of support for various grant applications from local, county, state, and federal elected officials. The PACs are pleased to see the aggressive approach transit has taken toward obtaining the much-needed funding from Washington. Next, we heard from the Government and Community Relations staff, Chief of Staff Justin Davis, Chief Paul Wyckoff, and Senior Director Barbara Lazaro. They spoke on recent agency initiatives such as New Jersey Transit partnership with MTA, Amtrak, PACO, and SEPTA on the Mask Force initiative, in which face masks and other PPE supplies are distributed to customers to encourage universal mask compliance on public transit. The PAC compliments the board and staff for their leadership in protecting the well-being of its riders. Next, they spoke of the New Bus Newark, an initiative to reimagine local bus service in the Newark region based on current transit markets, existing service performance, and community input. They also spoke on South Jersey Bus Rapid Transit, the implementation of high-quality service from 3 new park and ride locations in Camden and Gloucester counties, with direct connections to Camden and Philadelphia. Finally, they spoke of Princeton Transit Way Study, a concept review of potential next steps for the Princeton branch corridor. And finally, they spoke of the Flex Pass, a pilot program offering a discounted, customized ticket options available on the New Jersey Transit mobile. We heard reports. Further, the PAC heard reports on the mobile app for Access Link. You will recall that 2 years ago, the PAC support was instrumental in the implementation of Easy Wallet, the electronic contactless fare collection system for Access Link, a needed system for our differently abled communities. The advancing procurement of new electronic buses in Camden, $250 million for the overhaul of the Walter Rand Transit Center in Camden, and the New Jersey Transit Partnership to connect veterans to jobs, and working with the homeless, and now getting people to vaccine sites, shows New Jersey Transit has a heart. Lastly, I'd like to report on the great job New Jersey Transit did with its massive snow removal efforts during the February snowstorm. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anna Marie. At this time, I will call on Board Member Wilson to present the Operations and Customer Service Committee report.
Thank you, Commissioner. The Operations and Customer Service Committee received an update on the trends, analysis, and actions for all rail, bus, light rail, and access link. The committee also received an update on the cost of service. That concludes the report.
Thank you, Board Member Wilson. At this time, would Board Member Morocco present the Administration Committee report?
The Administration Committee received a financial update. The committee also received updates from Human Resources and Equal Employment Opportunity and Affirmative Action. That concludes my report.
Thank you. At this time, I would call on Vice Chair Fulton to present the Capital Planning, Policy, and Privatization Committee to discuss the board items.
Thank you, Chair. It sounds like your dog doesn't want to hear this.
Well, no, I think he's just, commenting. We just didn't know the time for public comment had ended.
The Capital Planning, Policy, and Privatization Committee discussed the board items for the bus shelter purchase and installation of 150 units over 24 months, corporate facilities maintenance improvements, state of good repair and modernization program, and procurement by exception to extend Hastis Gyro Incorporated software solution to manage daily bus operations and timekeeping for bus operations. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Vice Chair Fulton. If you would continue with the Energy and Sustainability Policy Committee report.
Yes, ma'am. The Energy and Sustainability Policy Committee discussed updates to New Jersey Transit Grid, which included a project overview, updates since the October 2020 Board of Directors presentation, and a schedule for moving forward with the project. The committee also received a briefing from SVP Eric DeLeo and his staff on substations and energy systems. Topics included an update on the construction status of the Mason Substation, Amtrak Substation 41, and the PSC&G Substation Assessment Program. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Vice Chair Fulton. At this time, I would call on President and CEO Kevin Corbett to begin the presentation of the action items.
Thank you, Chair. I would now like to introduce Phil Vaquera, Senior Vice President, Chief Financial Officer, and Treasurer, to present Board Item 2103-07. regarding armored car services.
Thank you, sir. We are recommending approval of item 2103-07, revenue processing and armored car services. Authorization is requested to enter into a contract with Wells Fargo Bank N.A. for revenue processing and armored car services in the amount not to exceed $14,043,449 plus 5% for contingencies, subject to the availability of funds. We ask for your approval of item 2103-07.
May I have a motion to approve?
Board Member Fulton, motion.
May I have a second?
Board Member Nara.
Thank you. Joyce, would you please check for board member comments?
Yes. Board Member Adams, any comments?
Yes, Joyce. I fully intend to approve this board item, but I would just like to encourage staff to look at some more creative ways in order to increase competition for items like this. It appears to me that we've had only one bidder for the past couple of procurements, so I would just like to somehow find a way to increase competition. The other thing that I wanted to point out is if I'm reading this correctly, this board item has a 0% SBE goal. And again, I'm encouraging staff to find new and creative ways in order to increase our SBE goals on individual procurements like this. Overall, New Jersey Transit does an excellent job, but I find that maybe if we take it one project and one procurement at a time, that we can increase those numbers. Those are my only comments, Joyce. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Doshi, any comments?
No comments, thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Gordon, any comments?
Only one, thank you, and that is just to echo Board Member Adams' comments about trying to promote competition and for procurements like this. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Morocco, any comments?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Nara, any comments?
None, Joyce, thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Rasmussen, any comments?
No comments, Joyce. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Ajmani, any comments?
No comments.
Thank you. Board Member Wilton, any comments?
No comment.
Thank you. Vice Chair Fulton, any comments?
No comments, thank you.
Thank you. Chair Gutierrez-Gichetti, any comments?
No, thank you, Joyce. Please just go to roll call vote.
Roll call vote. Board Member Adams?
Yes.
Board Member Doshi?
Yes.
Board Member Gordon?
Yes.
Board Member Morocco?
Yes.
Board Member Nara?
Yes.
Board Member Ajmani?
Yes.
Board Member Wilton?
Yes.
Vice Chair Fulton?
Yes.
Chair Gutierrez-Gichetti?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Then now I'd like to introduce, thank you, Joyce. I'd now like to introduce Mike Kilcoyne, Senior Vice President, Surface Transit and General Manager of Bus Operations, to present board item 2103-08 regarding bus software. Mike?
Thank you. We are recommending approval of item 2103-08, procurement by exception to extend HASTA's Giro Inc. software solution to manage daily bid operations and timekeeping for bus operations. Authorization is requested to enter into a procurement by exception contract for the purchase of additional HASTA software modules, bid web, daily crew, daily vehicle, and self-service with Giro, Incorporated, at a cost not to exceed $3,906,745, subject to the availability of funds for a period of up to 24 months for software customization, installation, and New Jersey Transit's approval and implementation following the approved notice to proceed. We ask for your approval of item 2103-08.
May I have a motion to approve?
So moved, Adams.
May I have a second?
Second, Gordon.
Thank you. For discussion, Joyce, please check with board members for comments.
Yes. Board Member Adams, any comments?
Yes, Joyce. I'm just happy to see that we're upgrading our IT systems, and I hope to see the spirit carried through to the rest of our agency and lines, because this is much needed. Also, I again have to point out the 0% SBE requirements or goals, and I understand because it was a purchase by exception and it's a limited field, but I still encourage staff to do what they can. And finally, thanks to staff for explaining to me what the bid and pick was. Those are my only comments, Joyce. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Doshi, any comments?
No comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Gordon, any comments?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Morocco, any comments?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Nara, any comments?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Rasmussen, any comments?
No comments. Thank you, Joyce.
Thank you. Board Member Ajmani, any comments?
No, Joyce. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Wilton, any comments?
No, thanks.
Thank you. Vice Chair Fulton, any comments?
Oh, yes, Joyce. I would like to commend staff for an excellent presentation as they advance this procurement by exception. I think most of us would prefer to adhere to maximizing competition in the marketplace, but they really were able to show us through this approach by obtaining a software module that's consistent with what they have, and they were able to point to not just cost savings, but also efficiency savings, crossroads and pathways to the future and enhancement. And also they were able to demonstrate how this will actually benefit the frontline staff and drivers. And so I take my hat off to them for demonstrating that there are times when procurement by exception is appropriate. I think this is clearly one. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair Gutierrez-Cachetti, any comments?
No, Joyce. Just please move to roll call vote.
Roll call vote. Board Member Adams?
Yes.
Board Member Doshi?
Yes.
Board Member Gordon?
Yes.
Board Member Morocco?
Yes.
Board Member Nara?
Yes.
Board Member Ajmani?
Yes.
Board Member Wilton?
Yes.
Vice Chair Fulton?
Yes.
Chair Gutierrez-Cachetti?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, Joyce. I'd now like to reintroduce Mike to present the next item, 2103-09, regarding bus shelter purchase and installations. Mike?
Thank you, sir. We are recommending approval of item 2103-09, bus shelter purchase and installation of 150 units over 24 months. Authorization is requested to enter into a contract with Handy Hut Incorporated of Clifton, New Jersey for the purchase and installation of 150 new bus shelters throughout the state of New Jersey over 24 months at a cost not to exceed $1,751,932 plus 5% contingency, with an option to exercise a time extension up through 11 months supported by existing funds. We ask for your approval of item 2103-09.
May I have a motion to approve?
Motion, Morocco.
Motion to approve, Nara.
May I have a second? Joyce, did you record Board Member Morocco as the motion and Board Member Nara as a second?
Yes, I did.
Thank you. Can you go through discussion now, please?
Board Member Adams, any comments?
No comments, Joyce. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Doshi, any comments?
No comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Gordon, any comments?
No comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Morocco, any comments?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Nara, any comments?
None. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Rasmussen, any comments?
No comments. Thank you, Joyce.
Thank you. Board Member Ajmani, any comments?
No, thank you, Joyce.
Thank you. Board Member Wilton, any comments?
No.
Thank you. Vice Chair Fulton, any comments?
None, thank you.
Thank you. Chair Gutierrez-Gacchetti, any comments?
None, Joyce. Roll call vote.
Roll call vote. Board Member Adams?
Yes.
Board Member Doshi?
Yes.
Board Member Gordon?
Yes.
Board Member Marocco?
Yes.
Board Member Nara?
Yes.
Board Member Ajmani?
Yes.
Board Member Wilton?
Yes.
Vice Chair Fulton?
Yes.
Chair Gutierrez-Gacchetti?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great. Thank you. I'd like to now introduce Justin Davis, Senior Vice President, Regulatory and Government Affairs and Chief of Staff, to present Board Item 2103-10 regarding corporate facilities. Justin?
Thank you, sir. Good evening, Chair and board members. We're recommending approval of Item 2103-10, Corporate Facilities Maintenance Improvements, State of Good Repair and Modernization Program. Authorization is requested to enter into contract with Federal Equipment and Manufacturing Company, Incorporated of Lodi, New Jersey, for 3 years for corporate facilities maintenance improvements in the amount not to exceed $1,035,732, subject to the availability of funds. We ask for your approval of Item 2103-10. Thank you.
May I have a motion to approve?
So moved,
Motion by
Adam.
Nara.
I have Board Member Adams made the motion and Nara seconded it. Correct?
Thank you. And we'll go over comments, please.
Yes. Board Member Adams, any comments?
No comments, Joyce. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Doshi, any comments?
No comments, thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Gordon, any comments?
No comments, thanks.
Thank you. Board Member Marocco, any comments?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Nara, any comments?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Rasmussen, any comments?
No comments, thank you, Joyce.
Thank you. Board Member Ajmani, any comments?
No comments, Joyce.
Thank you. Board Member Wilton, any comments?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair Fulton, any comments?
No comments, thank you.
Thank you. Chair Gutierrez-Gacchetti, any comments?
No, Joyce. Just move into roll call.
Roll call vote. Board Member Adams?
Yes.
Board Member Doshi?
Yes.
Board Member Gordon?
Yes.
Board Member Marocco?
Yes.
Board Member Nara?
Yes.
Board Member Ajmani?
Yes.
Board Member Wilton?
Yes.
Vice Chair Fulton?
Yes.
Chair Gutierrez-Gacchetti?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. I'd now like to ask Bill Vaquera to come back again to present Board Item 2103-11 regarding budget proposal transmittal. Bill?
Thank you, sir. We are recommending approval of Item 2103-11, Budget Proposal Transmittal. Authorization is requested for the New Jersey Transit Board of Directors to approve the transmission of Exhibits A and B to the Commissioner of Transportation and to the President of the Senate, the Speaker of the General Assembly, and the Assembly Transportation and Independent Authorities Committee and the Senate Transportation Committee. I'll be making some remarks and referring to Exhibit A of the board package. The presentation reflects Exhibit A of Item 2103-11, our annual budget proposal transmittal. As required by statute, the transmittal must be approved by the board prior to the ultimate submission to the New Jersey DOT Commissioner, President of the Senate, Speaker of the General Assembly, and other legislative committees by April 1st. The attached transmittal document is structured and organized to meet the specific requirements of the statute and is Exhibit B to the board item. We are not asking the board today to adopt a budget for fiscal year 22, only for approval to transmit the attached Exhibits A and B to the Commissioner and members of the Legislature as required. We expect to request the adoption of fiscal year 22 budget at the July board meeting after the state adopts its final budget. On slide 2 of Exhibit A, entitled 4-Year Budget Outlook, we present operating budget resources and expenses for fiscal year 20, actual results, fiscal year 21, original budget as adopted, updated projections for fiscal year 21, our proposed fiscal year 22 budget based on the recent governor's budget recommendation, and the preliminary budget estimate for fiscal year 23. We've revised fiscal year 21 operating expenses downward by over $200 million as a result of savings in labor and fringe from filling only essential positions, lowered purchase transportation costs, delaying the majority of our fiscal year 21 strategic and discretionary investments, and a reduction in budgeted COVID-related contingency expenses based on our actual experiences to date. For fiscal year 22, the proposed budget totals $2.65 billion compared to our revised estimate, $2.4 billion for fiscal year 21, growth of 9%. As you can see, fare box revenue continues to be negatively impacted by the effects of COVID-19. Our fiscal year 21 fare box revenue has been revised downward and is now projected at $245 million or a 10% expense recovery. This is a decrease of $129 million from our original budget as a result of the second COVID wave we've experienced. Fiscal year 22 assumes revenue of $591 million, or approximately 61% of pre-COVID fiscal year 19 fares, and fiscal year 23 assumes revenue of $763 million, or 78% of fiscal year 19 fares. Fare box recovery ratios in fiscal 22 and 23 are estimated to be 22% and 27% respectively, compared to low 40% pre-COVID. These revenue projections were developed by a team consisting of New Jersey Transit finance staff, New Jersey Transit planning staff, and our partners from ACOM and VHB. They include key assumptions such as population vaccination, reopening assumptions, as well as unemployment rates, teleworking, general feeling of being safe at work, and a feeling of safety while riding transit. We do not expect a return to pre-COVID ridership levels until at least fiscal year 26. And as we've been doing throughout the pandemic, we will continue to update these projections periodically and will provide the board with updates again in July when we request formal adoption of our fiscal year 22 budget. Moving on to other sources of funding, the state operating subsidy originally budgeted for fiscal 21 was eliminated for the period of March to June this year, resulting in a reduction of $171 million from $386 million to $215 million, all of which has been received. Consequently, we will rely more heavily on CARES funding this year for the remainder of the fiscal year and expect to fully utilize CARES funds by the end of this June. The fiscal year 22 state operating subsidy is proposed to be $100 million, and the fiscal year 23 amount will be determined in next year's state budget. Our Carissa splits are still being finalized, and therefore the approximately $1.2 billion presented here is our best estimate at this time. We do expect to be heavily reliant on Carissa throughout fiscal year 22 and into fiscal year 23. And we also expect to receive funding through the American Rescue Plan, which contains $30 billion for public transportation. The exact amount will be determined when the bill becomes law and the FTA publishes funding tables. Further, Turnpike funding is expected to significantly increase from $129 million in fiscal 21 to $350 million in fiscal 22 and $746 million in fiscal year 23, with $25 million of those funds dedicated to support Porter North Bridge debt service and are shown below the line on this chart. This funding is subject to the finalization of an MOU, which we expect to bring to the board for approval in April. Clean energy funds are flat year over year at $82 million. Total state funding support, including the state operating subsidy, Turnpike funding, and the Clean Energy Fund, total $507.1 million in fiscal year's 22 proposed budget, or nearly 20% of the total funding. And total state funding support from these sources totals $2.6 billion under Governor Murphy from fiscal year 18 through the fiscal year 22 proposed budget. State and federal funds used for preventative maintenance, referred to as the capital transfer, is being reduced by $98.8 million from $461 million to $362 million in each of fiscal year 22 and fiscal 23, freeing up nearly $200 million for other unfunded capital projects. Preventative maintenance expenses, which total over $500 million each year for the agency, will be funded through other operating funding sources. Our preliminary fiscal year 23 budget assumes expense increases of $128.5 million, or 4.75%. This increase is in line with prior years as we catch up on years of disinvestment and invest towards achieving our strategic plan goals. Based on the assumptions shown, fiscal year 23 currently has an additional funding need of $355 million, highlighted on this chart in yellow. Options to close the gap include, but are not limited to, additional federal funding through the American Rescue Plan, additional state resources, and potential passenger revenue assumption changes due to the change in ridership return patterns. On the expense side, fiscal year 22 proposed expenditures anticipate maintaining current service levels for all modes and seek to balance limited funding while upholding our commitments to sustain essential travel and support for the state and region's economy, while not losing sight of our longer-term strategic and capital needs. The fiscal year 22 proposed budget includes mandatory cost increases totaling $114.5 million, including $68.8 million for contractual escalations, $8.4 million for federal and state mandates, and $37.3 million for other mandatory items. The fiscal year 22 proposed budget also includes $31 million in discretionary investments intended to advance initiatives outlined in the strategic plan. And these increases are offset by efficiencies, savings, and reductions of $158 million, including eliminating contingencies related to COVID, our pace of hiring, continued health benefit reforms, and a reduction in our anticipated credit card fees due to lower passenger revenues. Turning to the next slide, page 3 provides a graphical look at the distribution of our fiscal year 22 proposed operating budget, sources, and uses of funds. Only 22% of resources are assumed to come from passenger revenues, with the largest amount, or 35%, projected to come from CARES and CARISA. State support, including the general fund subsidy, turnpike funding, and clean energy funds, are expected to cover 20% of our resource needs in fiscal year 22. And New Jersey Turnpike Authority funding is up from $129 million to $350 million. And on the expense side, the majority of expenses remain consistent with prior year's distributions, with the largest percentage going to labor and fringe benefits, which are 60% of proposed expenses. Turning to the next slide, summary by department. This provides another look at our proposed fiscal year 22 operating budget, this time by department, and showing the distribution for both dollars and FTE. Note that the majority of both budget and headcount are dedicated to operations, with only 9% of FTEs and 12.6% of the budget expenses dedicated to administrative functions. Pages 5 and 6 are a deeper look at proposed fiscal year 22 operating expenses, investments, initiatives, and costs. So the highlights include the governor's proposed budget provides us with a total operating budget, again, of $2.65 billion, reflecting growth of 9.1% over our current fiscal year 21 forecast. It also includes total headcount of 12,405, an increase of 136 FTE, or 1% growth from fiscal year 21. The majority of fiscal year 22 proposed growth is necessary to support mandatory cost increases, which are outlined on this page, including contractual escalations of $69 million, state and federal mandates totaling $8.4 million, other mandatory increases including $12 million in the operating PREA payment for Northeast Corridor trackage fees, an increase in our funding requirement for injury and damage claims. On page 6, we continue expense categories. On this page, we highlight discretionary expense increases, which total only $37 million, or about 0.1% of the total budget. And these include optimizing bus service, enhancing rail infrastructure and engineering to support and improve rail infrastructure management and maintenance, taking a leadership role in developing plans to address additional Trans-Hudson demand across transit modes, especially as the regional economy recovers from COVID, and others detailed on this page. And lastly, other discretionary items include increased tree trimming, increased staffing for Access Link, among others. Items that are either reduced or eliminated from the fiscal year 21 budget total $158 million, as previously described. Most significant is the elimination of the COVID-related expense contingency, with COVID response costs now built into individual departmental budgets. And finally, on the last slide, 7, this slide provides a brief overview of fiscal year 23 estimated budget. As mentioned earlier, fiscal 23 assumes $128.5 million, or 4.7% increase from fiscal year 22. We project approximately $96.5 million for mandatory cost increases and $32 million for investments to support the realization of our strategic plan and improve service reliability. Fares are forecasted to be 78% of pre-COVID levels, and while we show a funding gap of $355 million, we have not included any possible funding from the American Rescue Plan, which includes $30 billion for public transportation, and the state general fund support, if any, is unknown at this time. This concludes my presentation. We ask for your approval of item 2103-11 to transmit Exhibits A and B to the Commissioner of Transportation, to the President of the Senate, Speaker of the General Assembly, Assembly Transportation and Independent Authorities Committee, and the Senate Transportation Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. May I have a motion to approve Board Item 2103-11?
Board Member Fulton, motion.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Joyce, can we go through board member comments, please?
Yes. Board Member Adams, any comments?
Yes, Joyce. First off, I want to thank Bill and his staff for a very comprehensive and detailed report tonight, and also for answering all of my questions during the board briefings that he had. It does bring up the obvious elephant in the room. You know, the North Highland report said that New Jersey Transit needs a dedicated, stable, and consistent source of funding, and we're still in that same situation now. It might even come down to maybe procuring a study to see what other agencies and what other transit agencies do to solve this problem. But it's something that's not going to go away, and it's something that we're going to have to start concentrating on seriously. That being said, there's going to be some hard budget decisions that are going to have to be made, maybe not for this budget, but for the budget afterwards. And I'm, looking forward to being able to work with staff to be able to start having some of these discussions now rather than later. And lastly, as I stated last fall, I'm in total disagreement to capital to operating transfers. Staff did a tremendous job by reducing them from 460 to 360. But the way I look at it is it went from 0 to 360. We have to do everything in our power to try to reduce these capital to operating transfers. Our capital program is going to suffer because of this, and there's going to be capital projects that are going to affect our facilities, our staff, and transit as a whole that will not get done because of this. And again, thank you to Bill and his staff for answering all of our detailed questions, and I look forward to working with the staff between now and the budget approval time. Those are all my comments, Joyce. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Doshi, any comments?
Thank you. I also want to thank Bill and his staff. And I know, as we talked about before, the board has gone over this with Bill's staff, and he's answered all our questions. And I know in our discussions, a lot of this was inherited before he came to New Jersey Transit. So I just wanted to say good job and thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Gordon, any comments?
Yes, thank you, Joyce. I echo my colleagues' comments about Bill and his staff for their excellent work in putting this budget together during a very difficult time. And I also reiterate what has been said by Board Member Adams. We need to find a stable, dedicated, long-term source of funding and stop these capital to operating transfers. We have been fortunate in recent months in being able to draw on federal funding through the CARES Act and CARISA. But in fiscal 23, who knows what's going to happen? Things can change in Washington very quickly with a change in voting makeup of the Congress. We need to find a source here at home that will provide the resources that we need for the long term, for both our capital needs and our operating needs, and encourage the staff to work with the board and the legislature in being creative and finding some new sources of funding. There has been a lot of talk in recent years about totally new approaches, value capture for state projects, impact fees. There are any number of avenues we should explore, and we should do it in the coming months. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Board Member Marocco, any comments?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Nara, any comments? Board Member Nara? Board Member Rasmussen, any comments?
Just to commend staff on an excellent presentation. Other than that, nothing else, Joyce. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Ajmani, any comments?
None from me, Joyce.
Thank you. Board Member Wilson, any comments?
Yes.
Board Member Nara?
Joyce, I'm sorry, I wasn't unmuted fast enough, but I'll wait till Board Member Wilson's done.
Thank you. Just thank you to Bill and his staff for getting this together and all the hard work on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Nora, comments?
Yes, I too wanted to thank Bill and his staff. This was my first budget presentation, and so I appreciated not only the information but how they presented it. And I would echo the comments made by Board Member Adams and Board Member Gordon, while acknowledging that this is not an easy thing to try to find new dedicated funding sources. But clearly it's something that would be necessary for transit to be healthy in the future, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair Fulton, any comments?
Yes. Again, thanks to Bill and his team for their leadership and architecting a path forward in spite of the physical challenges. None of us like to see money taking out of the capital program per se, but at the end of the day, they have to create a balanced budget. And so, as a board member, I too seek any innovative revenue-generating opportunities there are with any organization. But in all truths, the reality is that there also is a need to ensure that the legislature and others hear loud and clear from New Jersey Transit, both staff and board, that the lack of dedicated funding is a real problem. As I understand it, New Jersey may be in the minority of states that does not have a dedicated source of funds for transit. And we can see the harm that it's created over a series of years. So this is a must-do. Unfortunately, COVID came when it did. I think there was a path, there was a light at the end of the tunnel, no pun intended, to try to get some dedicated funding in place. I guess the only other comment I would make, and having been a part of lots of capital planning development over the years, is that at the end of the day, the capital transfer, while not favorable, is still going towards work that is capital eligible. And so while all of us would prefer to see it go to projects for major rehabilitation, expansion, etc., we still need to get the pure maintenance work done, and there's certain types of maintenance work, as I understand it, that is eligible for capital work, and so that is a gap that needs to be filled every single year. I would argue that it's one of the more important gaps that need to be filled every year. So again, I'm waiting for the day when we have a dedicated fund so that there can be dedicated funds for what I'll call capital maintenance, which is what the capital transfer is taking care of, as well as large project maintenance. And we can do that without robbing Peter to pay Paul and still meet a bottom line budget. The last thing I would add is that the funding needs in a future year are indeed troublesome, and I would echo that there's lots of very difficult decisions we're going to have to make future forward. So the more information we can get, the sooner the better, so that we can begin thinking about what the possibilities would be. But all in all, I think it's a magnificent job that the staff did, given the challenges that have confronted them. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair Gutierrez-Cachetti, any comments?
I think Vice Chair Fulton summed it up very nicely, so I'm good, Joyce, and we'll just go to roll call vote.
Roll call vote. Board Member Adams?
Yes.
Board Member Doshi?
Yes.
Board Member Gordon?
Yes.
Board Member Morocco?
Yes.
Board Member Nara?
Yes.
Board Member Ajmani?
Yes.
Board Member Wilton?
Yes.
Vice Chair Fulton?
Yes.
Chair Gutierrez-Cachetti?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Joyce. And thank you, Board, for that support. Now, like to introduce Bill again to present item 2103-12 regarding property interest at Morristown Station. Bill?
Thank you, sir, and thank you, board members, for the comments. We are recommending approval of item 2103-12, New Jersey Transit conveyance and modification of property interest at Morristown Railroad Station. Authorization is requested to take all actions necessary to negotiate, modify, and convey property interest to New Jersey Transit approved entities, including modification of an existing New Jersey Transit public parking restrictive covenant on Block 3602, Lot 13, in the town of Morristown, adjacent to the Morristown Railroad Station, to facilitate transit-oriented development for consideration as discussed in executive session. We ask your approval of item 2103-12.
May I have a motion to approve board item 2103-12?
Adam.
Motion, Nara.
Okay, I have motion,
second?
Nara. Second.
You have them both, Joyce?
Yes, the second I have is Adams.
Then let's go to comments.
Board Member Adams, any comments?
No comments, Joyce. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Doshi, any comments?
No comments, thank you.
Board Member Gordon, any comments?
No comments, thanks.
Thank you. Board Member Morocco, any comments?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Nara, any comments?
None, thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Rasmussen, any comments?
No comments. Thank you, Joyce.
Thank you. Board Member Ajmani, any comments?
No comments.
Thank you. Board Member Wilton, any comments?
No comments.
Thank you. Vice Chair Fulton, any comments?
No comments, thank you.
Thank you. Chair Gutierrez-Cachetti, any comments?
No comments, Joyce.
Thank you. Roll call vote. Board Member Adams?
Yes.
Board Member Doshi?
Yes.
Board Member Gordon?
Yes.
Board Member Morocco?
Yes.
Board Member Nara?
Yes.
Board Member Ajmani,
Yes.
Board Member Wilton, Board Member Wilton.
Yes, sorry.
Thank you. Vice Chair Fulton,
Yes.
Chair Gutierrez-Gachetti.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. I'd now like Bill to present the next item, 2103-13, regarding outdoor advertising contracts. Bill?
Thank you. We are recommending approval of item 2103-13, outdoor advertising management contract payment modification. Authorization is requested to take any and all actions to implement a temporary payment modification plan in accordance with the terms discussed in executive session. We ask for approval of item 2103-13.
May I have a motion?
Motion, Wilton.
May I have a second?
Second, Nara.
Thank you. Joyce, will you poll for discussion, please?
Yes. Board Member Adams, any comments?
No comments, Joyce. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Doty, any comments?
No comments, thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Gordon, any comments?
No comments, thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Morocco, any comments?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Nara, any comments? Board Member
None,
Nara?
thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Rasmussen, any comments?
No comments, thank you, Joyce.
Thank you. Board Member Ajmani, any comments?
No comments, Joyce.
Thank you. Board Member Wilton, any comments?
No comments.
Thank you. Vice Chair Fulton, any comments?
No comments, thank you.
Thank you. Chair Gutierrez-Gachetti, any comments?
No, Joyce, just roll call vote.
Roll call vote. Board Member Adams.
Yes.
Board Member Doshi.
Yes.
Board Member Gordon.
Yes.
Board Member Morocco.
Yes.
Board Member Nara.
Yes.
Board Member Ajmani.
Yes.
Board Member Wilton.
Yes.
Vice Chair Fulton.
Yes.
Chair Gutierrez-Gachetti.
Yes.
Motion carried. We have a board member recusal. Board Member Rasmussen is recused from the next item, 2103-14. Operator, please remove Board Member Rasmussen from the meeting for this item.
Board Member Rasmussen has been removed.
Thank you. President Corbett, you may proceed.
Thank you, Joyce. I'd now like Bill to continue with the last item for action tonight, item 2103-14, regarding a personal injury case. Bill?
Thank you, CEO Corbett. We are recommending approval of item 2103-14, personal injury claim of the estate of Rosalind Quinones. Authorization is requested to settle a claim of the estate of Rosalind Quinones through the state attorney at an amount discussed in executive session. The Attorney General has approved the proposed settlement, subject to the availability of funds. We ask for approval of item 2103-14.
May I have a motion?
Motion, Morocco.
May I have a second?
Second, Gordon.
Joyce, would you poll for discussion, please?
Yes. Board Member Adams, any comments?
No comments, Joyce. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Doshi, any comments?
No comments, thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Gordon, any comments?
No comments, thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Morocco, any comments?
No, thanks.
Thank you. Board Member Nara, any comments?
No comments, thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Ajmani, any comments?
No comments, Joyce.
Thank you. Board Member Wilton, any comments?
No comment.
Thank you. Vice Chair Fulton, any comments?
No comments, thank you.
Thank you. Chair Gutierrez-Cachetti, any comments?
No, Joyce. Just roll call.
Roll call vote. Board Member Adams?
Yes.
Board Member Doshi?
Yes.
Board Member Gordon?
Yes.
Board Member Marocco?
Yes.
Board Member Nara?
Yes.
Board Member Ajmani?
Yes.
Board Member Wilton?
Yes.
Vice Chair Fulton?
Yes.
Chair Gutierrez-Cachetti?
Yes.
Motion carried. Operator, please bring Board Member Rasmussen back into the meeting.
Board Member Rasmussen back in public session.
Chair, you may continue.
Thank you. Before we adjourn to executive session, I would like to let the public know we will return to adjourn the meeting, but no further business will be conducted. May I have a motion to enter into executive session to discuss personnel matters, contract negotiations, the status of pending and anticipated litigation, and matters falling within the attorney-client privilege, including but not limited to the extension of parking lot lease with 10 Park Place Associates, Inc., and 570 Broad Street, LLC, Newark, New Jersey. May I have a motion to enter into executive session?
Motion, Nara.
Do you have a second there, Joyce?
I didn't hear a second.
Wilton, second.
Thank you.
Any discussion on the motion? Roll call vote, please.
Roll call vote. Board Member Adams?
Yes.
Board Member Doshi?
Yes.
Board Member Gordon?
Yes.
Board Member Marocco?
Yes.
Board Member Nara?
Yes.
Board Member Ajmani?
Yes.
Board Member Wilton?
Yes.
Vice Chair Fulton?
Yes.
Chair Gutierrez-Cachetti?
Yes.
Motion carries. Operator, please move board and staff to the executive session.
Thank you. The executive session will now be initiated. Please note, members of the public audience, the line will remain on music hold during the executive session, and once the public session of today's meeting resumes, the music hold will be turned off. Executive session attendees, please stand by while you are moved to the executive session.
आपका वो भरता बन गया था जो भी आप कह रहे हैं है
Thanks for holding. We appreciate your time and patience. Please stay on the line, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Thanks for holding. We appreciate your time and patience. Please stay on the line, and we'll be back in just a moment.
waiting. Your patience is appreciated. Please hold the line, and we'll be right back with you.
Thank you for holding. We look forward to talking with you soon. Please hold the line and we'll be right back with you.
Thanks for holding. We appreciate your time and patience. Please stay on the line, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Thank you for holding. We sincerely appreciate your patience. Please stay on the line and we'll be back in a moment.
Thank you for holding. We look forward to talking with you soon. Please hold the line, and we'll be right back with you.
Thank you for holding. We look forward to talking with you soon. Please hold the line and we'll be right back with you.
Thanks for holding. We appreciate your time and patience. Please stay on the line, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Thanks for holding. We appreciate your time and patience. Please stay on the line and we'll be back in just a moment.
waiting. Your patience is appreciated. Please hold the line, and we'll be right back with you.
For holding. We look forward to talking with you soon. Please hold the line and we'll be right back with you.
Thanks for holding. We appreciate your time and patience. Please stay on the line, and we'll be back in just a moment.
For holding. We sincerely appreciate your patience. Please stay on the line and we'll be back in a moment.
Thank you for holding. We look forward to talking with you soon. Please hold the line, and we'll be right back with you.
We look forward to talking with you soon. Please hold the line and we'll be right back with you.
We appreciate your time and patience. Please stay on the line, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Thanks for holding. We appreciate your time and patience. Please stay on the line, and we'll be back in just a moment.
waiting. Your patience is appreciated. Please hold the line, and we'll be right back with you.
Thank you for holding. We look forward to talking with you soon. Please hold the line and we'll be right back with you.
Thanks for holding. We appreciate your time and patience. Please stay on the line, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Thank you for holding. We sincerely appreciate your patience. Please stay on the line and we'll be back in a moment.
Thank you for holding. We look forward to talking with you soon. Please hold the line, and we'll be right back with you.
Thank you for holding. We look forward to talking with you soon. Please hold the line and we'll be right back with you.
Thanks for holding. We appreciate your time and patience. Please stay on the line, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Thanks for holding. We appreciate your time and patience. Please stay on the line and we'll be back in just a moment.
Your patience is appreciated. Please hold the line, and we'll be right back with you.
Since there is no further, hold on. I hereby reconvene the open session board meetings. Joyce, would you please take roll call?
Roll call. Board Member Adams?
Here.
Board Member Doshi?
Here.
Board Member Gordon?
Here.
Board Member Morocco?
Here.
Board Member Nara?
Here.
Board Member Rasmussen?
Here.
Board Member Rajmani?
Here.
Board Member Wilton?
Here.
Vice Chair Fulton?
Here.
Chair Gutierrez-Cachetti?
Here.
Thank you.
Since there is no further business, may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved, Adams.
May I have a second?
Second, Wilton.
Is there any discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? Motion carried. Meeting is adjourned. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
All right.
Good night.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Everyone, thank you. Good night, all. Thanks.